a man wants to be needed.
Right.
And appreciated. And when a woman does that for him, he feels more like, oh wow, like my woman wants me, like, you know, like.
No, it's just because I got my rocks off, and so now.
No, but men like to be needed.
Okay.
And when a woman tells her man, I want you.
Yes.
I need you.
Right.
Even if it's only sexual, it means a lot to a man.
Yeah, of course it does. That's how they bond. That's their bonding.
Yeah.
And women.
And that's why, like, okay, so that's why.
Women, we like to be heard out, and we'd like for you guys to hear how our days are, and not give us advice, but just listen.
So here's like a thing, like a lot of women complain about how their man is always at work, and he works too much, and he doesn't, like, he's never home. Like, because when he's at work and he does a good job, his coworkers and his employees or whatever it is, they all respect him, and they all want him, and they all need him because, like, hey, we need so and so to do this job. Like, where's so and so? We can't do this without so and so. And like, and then like usually, if you are good at your job, then your coworkers all respect you and need you even more. Right. So that's why they're like, oh, I went out after work with the guys to have a beer at the bar. I'm sorry I didn't get home till 10 o'clock at night. But like those 3 guys that I went to go drink with respect the shit out of me, and they need me, and they want me to be around them, as opposed to a woman that not a woman, but like your partner, who is like, you know, angry with you because you're not doing this and you're not doing that. But we know that our job ultimately is to not need outside validation to feel a certain way. But everyone loves to feel, well, look, we all come to this world saying, need me, love me, hear me. And we all need that. But it's great also, too, when we realize, you know what? The more I seek into someone else's well, I find it's dry because they're seeking into someone else's, and the water or the well was always inside. And I'm not trying to get too spiritual, but the realization that like there's like the question that I have to ask myself is what does somebody else have that I can't give myself? And when it comes down to it, I get that, but like, do you want to date some fucking pussy that's just in love with himself, or do you want to date a man who's insecure?
Well, I think neither. I think there's a middle.
Well, yeah, I understand, but like it's like this, like. I think a lot of people are lacking self-love. I definitely agree with that.
Absolutely.
But it's very difficult to fall in love with yourself, especially in this age of social media and all that stuff.
But I think it's the falling in love with yourself on the spirit, on the soul level of like, you know what? Hey, like body that I used to bash, or like this like feet that I used to make fun of, like this body has taken me so far. I value and love and treasure who I am, and all the quirks and all the goodness, and like you know, really being like, when people are like, oh, you're such an airhead, you can never find your keys, you're like, yep, you know what, you're right, and I'm okay with it. Like really owning everything, and really feeling like I'm okay in my skin for the first time. But anyway, let's move on to I want to move on to this question. So what should a man do when they find themselves in a very toxic relationship with a woman that comes from a lot of trauma, and maybe it's past this 2 months period, but starts to get super possessive, going through your phone? I'm talking about like, you know, just crazy behavior, like, you know, trying to make you jealous by being pictures of other guys, like that kind of grimy behavior.
Man, I would just like, obviously, like run away as fast as possible. I mean, like, I really don't know how to answer that question. I mean, like, obviously that's like, get the F away from that woman. Right.
But my question is why do so many women and men, and what do we call, maybe like a trauma bond or whatever, why do we keep going back to it? It seems like we get stuck in these patterns where we keep going back.
I feel like, again, it's probably a sexual connection. You probably just end up going back to that because it's like, what's that saying? If it's lightning in a bottle, if you can corral it.
Yeah, but to the degree that, what about what happens to the degree that fights break out, or just chaos, or getting arrests happen, and you get
it all depends on all of that, but like, yes, of course, like obviously, like, get the fuck out of that situation. It's beyond the sex after that.
It's got to move into more of a
sense
but
of
it's
like what's like better sex than like out of jail sex, like.
But I know you on a deeper level. Wouldn't you say there's a part of you that believes that like you can heal her or fix her?
Well, yes. I mean, it depends on the person. Like, I'm the healer fixer kind of guy, But
wants to see the best,
the
wants to
thing
believe
is,
that they
like
can
I'm trying
change.
to do all that, but at the same
You
time,
lose yourself because you dip down to her
when
frequency.
they reject my healing and fixing,
Yeah.
then I like explode
Right.
and get super angry. Like, how could you not understand?
Right.
Like, why?
Because-
I'm trying to
Right,
help you,
right.
you fucking
Because-
moron.
right,
Like,
because you had an expectation and they never asked for help. But we jump in there and we're like, why don't you want it? Why don't you want to receive it? And yeah, it's crazy.
But it's kind of like the hitchhiker on the side of the road, and then you pick him up and he stabs you.
Yeah. I'm just saying. I'm just right. Yeah. I'm just saying that, like, you know, we all come from so much of our childhood is shaping the way we see relationships. And if we come from like a chaotic home where maybe parents were alcoholics or drug addicts and they never were there for us, and maybe you were the one that felt like you had to raise your siblings, but then you come across a partner who came from a real stable household, they were brought up in a real Christian kind of prim and proper. Like, you have to understand, like, coming together, there's going to be a lot of things that have to be negotiated, but there's a lot of times we don't fit on the same frequency. We don't fit on the same, like, you know, it's like a dial tone. And
But isn't there like a certain kind of, just like a kind of level playing field where like, okay, these are the rules. Here's this rule, and here's that rule, and here's these rules down here, and these. Okay, just right in here is kind of like where we're operating.
Right, but that's to assume that there's like we have to stick to what like there's rules. It's just it's interpretation of everyone's interpretation of how.
Yeah, but there's a pretty like what is it like? Like, I mean, the 10 Commandments
Yeah,
is kind of like a good baseline of like, don't murder,
there's free will,
don't
but also,
fuck your neighbor's wife.
It's free will, but there's also the fact that people have just different consciousness levels.
Like, don't steal, don't lie.
People are coming.
Come on. Like, those are basic humanitarian
Exactly, but people are coming. Not when people are coming from scarcity, fear, and survival. Those lower levels of consciousness.
But there are people with in lower levels that do understand those rules of humanity, like not even just humanity, just like.
No, there aren't. I mean, look at all the shootings that are happening. Look at all like the wars in Gaza. Like look at all the stuff.
Yeah.
You know. So, but that's like that. Look, the dark needs the light. It's all balanced.
But what about like when you meet somebody like in your kind of own wavelength, and you're kind of expecting like, okay, this person grew up in Orlando, just like I did. We both grew up in Orlando.
Right.
We both know like how to not get in trouble and not be shit stains on society. So why would you treat me like a shit stain?
Right, because you had an expectation they shouldn't have, but maybe they don't know how not to. Maybe they don't know how not to.
Do they not know how to count 1 to 10 and
maybe
the
not.
colors and the ABCs?
Well, I don't know, but because you had sex the first night, we'll never know. All right, because you're addicted to that. Yeah, addicted to that sex, and forget it.
So she could be an illiterate person who can't count and doesn't
Yeah,
understand.
maybe she doesn't have a tooth. I don't know.
And then all
As long as she's got that bomb ass.
But like, I feel like everybody who can operate normally in society has a general expectation of like, hey, when I walk by this person today at 7-Eleven, hopefully they won't stab me because they're a normal human being of society.
Yeah, yes.
So why doesn't that apply in the same aspect as being respectful and being in a relationship
because
with
maybe
somebody?
it wasn't modeled to them. Maybe they never had it. Maybe it was never modeled, and they don't know. Maybe they've only gravitated.
They don't know not to light your house on fire?
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I'm speaking out of experience.
Right. Well, I just think.
They don't know how to try to ruin your business? Like they didn't know that was a bad thing to do to somebody?
Us, right? You know, all those weirdos out there who want to like just go psycho.
Oh, they didn't know to bang her ex-boyfriend on my bed the night before? Like, what the F?
We're getting a little
oh, sorry.
Letting it all out. But anyway, I just want to say it's been a pleasure. And I hope that we've been able to bring you some.
Oh, that's it? There's no more questions?
Oh, no, we're good. I think we're good. But listen, you know, I think this is good. And well, we're going to do some more. But I just want, like, this is a fun and enlightening time. But to wrap it up, listen, you know, two people that are maybe running from issues of abandonment, or two people that are, you know, really kind of toxic, you know, they're not going to make the best match because, you know, it's just it's rekindling it and bringing up a lot of the trauma that they had in childhood. And when we get in relationships, you know, if you haven't done the work on your father or your mother, a lot of times your partner can represent that energy or that person. And so we recreate these traumas, and we stay in chaos because it starts to feel comfortable, and then we're scared to change. So, it's almost like, would someone even understand what a person who had their act together that came along and really wanted to have a relationship with this person?
They would be bored with somebody like that
well,
if
well,
they grew up in trauma.
That's right, exactly. That's the thing. But bored is also exhausting. It's got a lot of stress. It's hard on the body, and so we have to redefine the word bored as like maybe it's peaceful, or maybe it's just.
My dad always was like, it's okay to be bored, man. Just sit in yourself, and it's very hard for toxic people to sit in their self.
Right. My mom always told me, she's like, well, if you're bored, then that must mean you're boring. I was like, well, that's good.
No,
just saying. Just saying. But you're always gonna find something to do. But anyway, yes. So those are good statements. But listen. Hit subscribe. We would love to see more of you. And we will be back. And thank you so much. Have a great day.
Good night.